Hello everyone, and welcome to the Film Recaps. Today, I'm going to explain a science fiction film called Mutant Ghost War Girl. Be ready for some spoilers ahead. The year is 2077. A powerful corporation known as Medusa is secretly conducting human experiments aiming to create super soldiers by modifying the human genome. They recently managed to capture a government agent known as Ching and were able to alter her body by giving her mutating compounds. Fortunately, before they can brainwash her, a team of agents launch a last-minute raid on the facility, eliminating hostile forces on site. The team leader, Detective Wang, rushes to free the test subjects and downloads a copy of Medusa's illegal research data. He quickly locates Ching and helps her regain consciousness, unaware that a mysterious woman named Catherine is observing them from the shadows. Just as the group prepares to escape, they are attacked by a giant tentacle from the ceiling. Suddenly, a huge creature appears before them and roars with rage and fury. The agents open fire immediately, but their bullets prove useless, and the beast hurls them across the room. The monster slaughters the agents and begins devouring the other experimental subjects before setting its sights on Detective Wang. She sees this and immediately rushes onto the monster, stabbing it repeatedly before leaping back to the ground. This causes the creature retaliates by launching its massive tentacles, but Ching skillfully slices them apart. The survivors seize the opportunity to flee, managing to seal the monster inside the room. Unaware that a deadlier foe is already tracking them, the group reaches a warehouse, only to be intercepted by Catherine. She demands that they surrender, and using her powers hypnotizes others, turning them into nothing but simps. Fortunately, Ching isn't swayed by feminine charm, and she breaks free from the trance and snaps her teammates out of it as well. The detective seizes the moment and charges at Catherine, but she effortlessly throws him aside. Detective Wang gives Ching the data chip and tells her to run, knowing they're outmatched. He then charges at Catherine to buy her some time, but is quickly overpowered and swatted aside. Ching rushes in to fight, trading blows with Catherine in a fierce battle. However, Catherine is stronger and forcefully slams her into the wall. She grabs Ching by the hair and slams her hard against a barrel, leaving her completely incapacitated. As Catherine moves in to deliver the final blow, something unexpected happens. Ching's DNA begins to mutate, releasing a surge of immense power throughout her body. Meanwhile, in a nearby metropolis, the head of Medusa Corporation, Li, arrives at his private office, where Detective Wang is now being held captive. It turns out Ching escaped with the stolen data chip, but Wang won't disclose her location, so Li kills him in frustration. Soon after, Li enters a virtual simulation where it's revealed that Medusa has been forcing mutated humans to fight one another. These brutal battles push the mutants to the edge of death, unlocking their full genetic potential, part of the company's plan to engineer the ultimate super soldiers. Their newest member, QE, gains immense power from the fierce battle, allowing her to control surrounding stones and summon a massive meteorite. With a final devastating move, she launches it at her opponent, obliterating the arena. Meanwhile, Ching wakes up in a stranger's room, but she appears to have somehow lost all her memories. She quickly notices a man sitting on the other side who introduces himself as John. However, when she sees him without pants, she instinctively shoves him across the room. Ching rushes outside and John quickly follows, eventually catching up to her as she stands overwhelmed by the sudden exposure to the world. He tries to calm Ching down, but this only makes her more annoyed, causing her to accidentally unleash a mysterious power that seems to have stopped time. Ching suddenly senses danger and instantly teleports to the scene to rescue the people before harm can come to them. She is shocked to discover her special abilities. However, her display of power has alerted the corporation to her location, who sends countless men to apprehend her immediately. Ching is not afraid of them at all, unleashing his abilities to easily dominate and knock down the attackers. John witnesses the fierce battle and urgently tells Ching they must leave immediately, revealing that he is also a police officer. Meanwhile, Li receives news of his operative's failure while getting a surprise visit from a woman called Angela, who's a competing manager inside the company. She mocks Li's incompetence and declares that she will take control from now on. Angela plans to deploy Kui to retrieve the stolen data chip. At the same time, John has decided to help Ching restore her memories by using the police department's facial recognition system to find out where she's been in the past few days. It turns out Ching was part of a tourist group that recently arrived in the city with her girlfriends who are now all missing. Ching also discovers the data chip in her pocket, sensing it holds great importance as she hands it over to John. Just as they are about to act, a massive pillar crashes in from outside, and the door to their house is blown open by a mutant who turns out to be Kui. Ching immediately recognizes Kui as one of the missing girls, but now she is controlled by the corporation. Kui attacks Ching without hesitation, and John hides in fear. They clash fiercely, but Ching manages to slam Kui against the wall. Kui takes the chance and begins rushing outside while Ching teleports after her, chasing closely, until she catches Kui and hurls her into the air. However, Kui uses her telekinetic powers to counter the attacks and quickly overpowers Ching by hurling rocks at her. Kui charges forward and slams into Ching, sending him falling down through the floors of the building and crashing hard onto the ground. The woman launches Ching into the air and slams her against the wall. She continues her relentless assault, pummeling Ching until she's left battered and bloodied on the floor. Luckily, John arrives just in time and hands over the data chip to save her, but Ching refuses to surrender. Her body begins to mutate once again and unleashes even more of her potential. A massive shockwave erupts around her as Ching's strength multiplies. She charges at Kui, shattering her defenses with a single devastating strike. Ching unleashes a flurry of powerful blows, eventually tossing Kui across the battlefield. She moves in for the final blow, but is unable to take another life. Before she can make a decision, Kui's chip activates, terminating her for failing her mission. Ching collapses from her injuries, and John rushes her to the hospital, unaware their fight was secretly recorded. It turns out that Lee was the one behind the spy drone, and he questions Angela how she could both let their enemy escape and at the same time cause the death of one of their best warriors. The company owner interrupts their argument, ordering them to stop fighting and recover the data chip at all costs. Meanwhile, Ching is brought to an underground medical facility where she's administered a dose of the mutagen to stabilize her condition. However, she refuses to hide anymore as she plans to take on the company and heads directly towards Medusa's headquarters. When Ching enters into the building, she immediately begins recalling her past memories and remembering Catherine as a doctor who took the girls into the laboratory. Ching remembers things as she moves forward and quickly finds a hidden door that leads to the labs behind the wall. She eventually reaches the area where all the experiments took place, and being there helps her recall everything about her past. Ching remembers the mission her superior gave her to infiltrate Medusa under the guise of a tourist, but she ended up being caught. What Ching doesn't realize is that Angela has been spying on her every move. She contacts Ching with an ultimatum. If Ching does not return the data chip within the next hour, her men will unleash a massacre on all the civilians in the streets. Surprisingly, Ching shows no concern for the potential casualties. Instead, she begins gathering all the mutating compounds, planning to deliver them to her superior rather than surrender the chip. John is greatly angered by her decision as he questions her mission's purpose if it's not to save innocent lives. John's made up his mind. He's gonna protect everyone, even if it costs him his life. Ching finally reunites with her superior and hands over the data chip. However, when she asks him to send reinforcements to help John, he coldly tells her this is no longer their concern. Meanwhile, John steps into the street like a lone warrior surrounded by an overwhelming number of foes. He's not scared to die as he knows what he's doing is right. Just before the battle begins, Ching arrives and tells John she won't let him have all the glory, and the two steel themselves to face the incoming army together. Unbeknownst to them, Lee watches from his office, flanked by investors eager to build their own armies of super soldiers. As the assassins charge, Ching teleports into their midst, slashing through them with the speed and precision of someone with ultra instinct, eliminating enemies in the blink of an eye. However, this gave Angela a chance to grab onto John as she begins singing like a deranged predator and stabbing John right in the chest while causing Ching to scream in agony. Ching attacks Angela fiercely, but she retaliates with multiple stabs, severely wounding Ching in the process. Luckily, Ching's rage triggers another mutation within her body, boosting her power to 40% and unleashing a devastating shockwave that hurls Angela across the street. Amazingly, Angela manages to rise again, refusing to back down. But Qing wastes no time appearing behind her and decapitating her with a single precise strike. Watching the scene unfold, Li realizes his teammate has failed once more. The investors, now visibly concerned, begin to question whether his mutant program is worth their investment. Li angrily slams one of the investors into a wall and threatens the others, blackmailing them into silence with the threat of execution. Meanwhile, Qing cradles John in her arms as he lies fatally wounded. John regrets not spending more time with her before passing away inside her arms. Qing blames herself for his death, so she swears to get revenge and heads straight to Medusa's place. Upon reaching the upper floor, a wave of assassins charges at her, but Qing eliminates them all in a single brutal sweep. She immediately approaches Li and demands that he stop the killing, but her words fall on deaf ears. Li calmly responds that he's doing what's best for humanity. Qing has no choice but to attack him, causing chaos in the room as people flee in fear. She couldn't land even the smallest hit on Li as the man completely overpowered her and threw her to the other side of the room. He continues attacking Qing, using his telekinesis, throwing her into the wall and crashing her against the pillars. But Qing does not give up, despite being completely defeated. Li sees this and decides to kill her, which ultimately causes Qing to collapse. This causes Qing to begin having a vision in which John is still alive, and she questions how she can win the fight if her powers are much weaker than her enemies. John reminds her that it's not her powers that define who she is, but the strength within her heart that truly matters. This causes Qing to begin remembering John's sacrifice as her anger starts causing her genes to mutate even further while forcing her back into consciousness. Qing quickly escapes Li as she begins moving so fast that the man is not able to see her at all. She launches a fierce attack, throwing Li across the room while he's helpless and keeps hitting the wall repeatedly. Eventually, Li is knocked toward a giant statue as Qing finally materializes before him, but the man has no intention of giving up so easily. Li summons every last ounce of his power, levitating shards of glass from all around the room, and with a scream hurls them all at Qing. In the blink of an eye, she vanishes again. Before he can react, she reappears behind him, and with one clean strike drives her blade through his skull, silencing him forever. Sometime later, Qing returned to John's house to pay his respects, but what he didn't expect was for the man to appear before him alive. It becomes clear that John, just like Qing, has transformed into a mutant, as the two smile at each other with love and begin a new future together. Eventually, Qing steps onto the rooftop overlooking the entire city and promising to protect humanity alongside John. However, they remain unaware that the true mastermind behind Medusa is still alive, because the person Qing killed Li was merely a clone of the original. What do you guys think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please hit the like and subscribe to the channel for more content.